Okay, let's get started. Hope everybody's having a great day. We're really excited to present to you some things that we've been working on in our lab, specifically some innovations around AI and how that relates to Maximo specific use cases. So, quick note, today's session is going to be recorded. We'll share both the recording and the presentation deck after the webinar. All right. So my name is Alex Walter, CIO here at A3J Group, and pleased to be joined by a couple of OGs at A3J, Xavier Galarza and Bob Richardson. I'll let them introduce themselves, but they've been with us for many years and really are key cogs in what we've been able to sort of both from like an R&D perspective and from turning that R&D into actual shippable use cases for us. So generally speaking, today's agenda is Xavier will talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that we see and how we are weaving AI into what we're doing with these use cases. Bob will take you through a live demo of our MxInsight application within our mobile suite. And then Xavier will do a demo for our SR AI triage agent as far as automatically following up with users who have submitted SRs that may be a little bit incomplete from a data perspective. So excited to get into the details here with you, and I will turn it over to Xavier to kick it off.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. My name is Xavier Galarza. Been at A3J Group for about 5 years. Honestly, loving every single moment of it. And I'm excited here to talk about some of the AI stuff that we have going on here at A3J. Given the context, why it matters, why AI, why now, I feel like we're at a rare moment in technology right now. AI isn't a future concept anymore. It's here, it's practical, and organizations that start using it and start building with it today will be 2 to 3 years ahead of the game. In our world, asset management, maintenance, operations, there's enormous amount of trivial knowledge, repetitive work, and data that never gets used fully. AI changes that. It helps your team work faster, make better decision, and focus on the work that actually really matters. That's why we're moving in this direction, not to replace that work, but more to make it work better for you guys. The first point is something we hear constantly from Maximo customers. We know that the data is in there. We just can't get to it quickly. Maximo is a very powerful system, but extracting some of the data can typically require like any IT involvement, custom reports, or even having someone that has SQL knowledge. And that can sometimes create a bottleneck. The second point is equally frustrating for the operations team. Service request comes in, it's incomplete, it's missing like a location, it's missing a description or a very vague description, it's missing other details, and someone has to chase down that specific information before the technician can even be dispatched. It causes a lot of phone tags, voicemails, and manual updates. It's slow and it costs money. Both of those problems now have an AI solution that live inside of MxMobile, the tool most of you guys are already using. There's no new system, no new login, so it's awesome. It's really good. I'm excited for you guys to see it. I'm going to pass it over to Bob, and he's going to tell us a little bit more on the MxInsight.
Awesome, Xavier. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Bob. Been working with Alex for over 20 years, A3J for I guess 8 years now. Been around Maximo a while, and these two OGs also a while. But MxInsight allows you to query your asset data using plain language, no SQL, no dashboard build, and no waiting. MxInsight will use charts, tables, summaries from your live Maximo data, on to whatever device you are holding, your phone, your tablet, your VR headset, desktop application. You can also dive deeper into follow-up questions. Let's say you craft a great question, get back some cool data, but you're curious about something. You can use MxInsight to just drill down into your data. Game plan for MxInsight demo is to cover kind of like you're starting your week. So we'll cover open work orders to start your week. Then we'll go into asset failure patterns, and then we'll wrap up with the ever popular preventive maintenance. So diving into this, let's get to MxMobile. So MxInsight is available to you from the MxMobile homepage. It should be there in the additional apps. What you'll see here is a nice AI chat type window. We give you some sample questions to get the ball rolling. MxInsight will also keep track of your past queries in here. And you can choose to keep these, or if you're, if you want a fresh start, there's the clear all button. But let's start with the work order overview. So how many open work orders are there? So this is live data. This query is being sent directly to our demo environment, and we're getting back a live answer. So nice number there for us to get a feel for open work orders. This is a demo environment, so we have lots of open work orders, but it's still good to kind of like start to frame your week or day. And you see I'm down here, this generated Maximo query. So let's say that you craft a great question to MxInsight, get back data, but you want to take this into an ad hoc report, a where clause, or a BERT report, and expand this, grab your where and your select, and then just take that further. Also, if you're curious to see how MxInsight got that data, it's right there for you. Oh, and also I had a typo in there, but MxInsight was smart enough to know that I probably meant work and not woker. But next, follow up to this, show me the open work orders. So nice list of open work orders there. Not terribly useful, but it's a good way to just kind of see what's on your plate for this week. Then let's see how many open work orders we have by location. So kind of the same query or the same type of question, but now we're asking MxInsight to group this by location. We have a handy bar chart here. The MxInsight will take your data and it'll present it back in a chart type that it feels would best present the data to you. So hence we have a bar chart here. Let's dive into type of questions that you'll be asking yourself to start your week. So show me all open work orders by priority in the past week. So nice bar chart again here. Few priority 3, 2, 4, and only about 3 for priority 1. So that's nice, but let's say that I really want to see this data in my preferred chart style. So I can, ask MxInsight to give me that same data, but I actually want to see it in a pie chart. And it's around lunchtime, so I'm like hungry anyway, so let's see a pie chart. There we go. Same data, but now in a different chart style. Then kind of curious about those priority 1 work orders. So let's get a list of those work orders. So again, I have a nice, list here. I can now take this data, go into MX Asset, MX Work, or into Maximo, and get additional information on those and like figure out, what is going on with those. So now that I've finished my workload for this week, let's look at asset failure and what keeps breaking. So what asset has had the most work performed on it? So nice list of assets here. And I'm kind of curious on this 11200 here. Lots of work orders there. Let's just dive into this a bit. And let's see the type of work orders that we have. So I can see my failures, see where work is going, and with just a few questions, plain language, able to get back data. Didn't have to ask Xavier there to like craft me a where clause or like a report. I just come in here, ask questions, and I get back my answers. So let's just move on now to the preventive maintenance side. So how about what are my most recent PM work orders? So got a feel for my workday, got a feel for which assets are failing. Now I want to see the work that's coming up for me. So if we do, limit this to 25 records, that is a configurable option, but 25 is probably a good limit. Beyond that, you just have too many options there. But it could be a list of 25 most recent PM work orders. And if I'm not, are these really most recent? What can come down here to my query, see this, and I see it's ordering by report date descending. So in my demo environment, these are the most recent. So that's awesome. But now I'm curious, let's see my most recent PM work orders, but let's break this down by failure code. So similar type of question, but now now it's being grouped by failure code. So it's helpful. And let's pivot slightly here. Let's look at overdue PMs, but this time by location. What locations have overdue PM from work orders? And I have a few here. I can now take this data, dive into what's going on with these top level or more prevalent locations, and what can I do to to improve the shipping and others. But similar to location, let's also now look at the same overdue PMs, but let's group them by site. What sites are staying on top of their PM work orders? Looks like Bedford here could stand some work. MxInsight is also good for answering questions like you're about ready to head to a meeting and you want to know what is your labor cost on the emergency work orders on my most recent ones. So ask MxInsight that question, and I get back a single number here that I can then take into my meeting and help the organization understand where our costs are for a specific work type. And finally, wrap this up by a work order trend by month this year. So kind of curious, how I'm doing on work orders. Are they increasing? Are they decreasing? In this case, they're slightly going up, or maybe less than slightly. But MxInsight will take your data and show it in a bar chart, pie chart, list or a line, graph type. But MxInsight here, helps answer questions on workload, asset risk, and performance. This was all live, all in plain language, and all from data that you already have. No new systems, no SQL, no waiting on a report. That's just MxInsight. But getting answers is only half the story. The other half is the work that should happen automatically, and that's what Xavier is going to show you next. Xavier?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bob. What you saw with MxInsight is about getting answers faster. What I'm going to show you today is about eliminating a different situation, different kind of waste entirely, the back and forth that happens every time a service request comes in incomplete. Here's the reality. In most shops, a technician gets dispatched to a ticket that has no location, no priority, and a very vague description. They show up, they don't know where to go, they call back to the help desk, and the help desk has to call that person who submitted the service request. Suddenly, a 20-minute job turns into a 2-hour delay even before the technician can get started. We built an SR triage agent that will call and handle this problem automatically. The moment a new service request lands in Maximo with missing information, we call our agent AJ. AJ places an outbound call, has a real conversation with the requester, collects what's missing, and writes it back to Maximo. No human in the loop and no phone tag. I'm going to show you pretty much how the workflow is going to work for the SR agent. How it works. So the SR comes in, the agent detects the SR that has arrived in Maximo with missing or incomplete fields. After that, it's going to use right now the reported by person, and it will use the contact phone number to automatically call them and place that outbound call. The agent will then place an outbound call, a real phone call that asks targeted questions upon the service request. The data then is captured in real time based on what the user response are. And then number 5 would be second to last step would be the SR record is filled out automatically with the updates based on the call. And then lastly, the technician or the dispatcher at the time will receive an alert that the SR is ready for them. I'm going to show you guys here a service request that I created this morning that came in incomplete. We have SR 1179 here. It does have a reported by. And then as you can see here, the description in the long description is very vague. Just tells me a light bulb is broken. It doesn't have a reported priority. And then it also doesn't have a location. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to manually run the SR agent so it can start to look for the service request. Now, I'm manually doing this for the purpose of the demo, but of course this will run 24/7, or you can also tweak the frequency as to when you want your service agent to run. So I will be clicking on the manual workflow here. And as you can see, I am getting a phone call.
Hey there, I'm AJ from A3J Support. I need a bit more information on 1179.
Yeah, what type of information do you need?
Hey Xavier, thanks for picking up. I just need to grab a few quick details to get your service request moving forward. Specifically the location, a priority level, and a bit more detail about the issue itself. It should only take a couple of minutes. To start, could you give me your Maximo location code? It's a short code used in the system, something like A3J-101 or BLD-5. Do you happen to know yours?
Yeah, the location's actually going to be TPA.
Got it. So the location code is TPA, is that correct?
That is correct.
Perfect. And for priority, I need a number between 1 and 5, with 1 being the most urgent and 5 being the least. How would you rate the urgency on this broken light bulb?
I will rate it number 2 priority.
Got it, priority 2. And finally, Can you walk me through exactly what's happening with the light bulb, what you noticed, where it is specifically, and how long it's been going on?
Yeah, of course. I noticed about 3 days ago that the light bulb in building 5, room 105 was not working properly. So I would like to get that replaced.
Okay, that helps a lot. So just to make sure I've got this right, the light bulb in building 5, room 105, has not been working properly for about 3 days, and you'd like it replaced. Is that all accurate?
Yes, that is correct.
Perfect. So to summarize everything, the location code is TPA, priority 2, and the issue is a light bulb in building 5, room 105, that has not been working for about 3 days and needs to be replaced. I'll get that updated on your service request right now, and our support team will follow up with you shortly. Would you like me to send you a text summary of these details for your records?
I'm okay for right now, but thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much for your time, Xavier. We'll get that taken care of for you. Have a great day.
And then so there you go. So it was able to query the way the agent works. It was able to query my Maximo environment, grab the specific service request that was missing all the information. It was able to tell me the specific, as you heard, the targeting questions, like the missing location, the priority, and to give a better explanation of what's happening with that service request. So now I'm going to show you exactly what happened in the background after. So as you can see here, it went ahead and updated 1179 for me all automatically. Bob wasn't going back there and typing it in. It was all automatic based on the agent. What it did was it it added the report priority, which is number 2. In the long description, it added the detailed information that I provided. And then in the location, it was also able to add that to the location. Now, obviously, these targeting questions are all based on the specific fields that have it configured, but we can configure all of the fields to whatever field you need the agent to call back on, right? So if you have like classifications, then we can definitely add that to the agent as well. So you can ask those targeted questions. What this means for your team, right? As you saw with MxInsight, you get instant answers, no waiting around for reports or having someone that has SQL knowledge, waiting for them to run your type of questions. You're able to ask those type of questions so you can get the data faster. The less manual work for the SR agent, right? Eliminates the phone tags and also eliminates any service request that comes in that has a lot of missing details. Everyone benefits. AI it isn't just for analysts. Every field person, dispatcher, you name it, can benefit from the AI. And like I mentioned, both capabilities are built in directly into MxMobile. Your team can definitely start using this tool as it is right now. As you saw, this is already working in a live environment, in a live demo environment. I'm going to turn it over to Alex for some closing statements.
Yeah, thanks, Xavier. Thanks, Bob. Really appreciated the demos there, and hopefully that was a good demonstration of some of the things that we're doing. We have more capabilities from an AI perspective with Ask AJ inside of MxMobile with some of the natural language to intent of action that we're doing. But that was excellent. Really appreciated the time and demo there. So next steps, please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to do a more tailored private demo or set up some discovery time to talk about any AI needs that you might have. And like I said earlier, we were planning on posting the recording and slides after the webinar here. I do see at least one question here in the Q&A, so we'll tackle that. But if anybody has any Q&As, feel free to post them in the Q&A section here in the webinar. So let me take a look over there, and it looks like this first one is about MX MxInsight. And so the question is around like how I guess to paraphrase here, it's more just like which LLM service or natural language processing service is the app using. So Bob, I don't know if you want to take that or you want me to answer that one.
Sure, yeah. Right now, it's using an Anthropic API key, but it can be easily configured in the customer config to use any API key.
Yeah, correct. So we can support any of the major public models as well as private models that have APIs associated with them. Other question was on data privacy. So I guess that's probably related to MxInsight as well. So Bob, I would guess the question is really more around like what does MxInsight send to those APIs and models? Is it the Maximo data or is it just the natural language questions?
Awesome question. Yeah, and something that was on our minds as well. The only data that is sent to AI is the type or how to take our question and change that into a select where clause. So you don't actually send any of your data there. It's more about understanding the Maximo architecture, and with these questions or with this question, we then the AI will send back the query. The query is then run against your Maximo data, and it is returned to you or to MxInsight. So we are careful to have that bridge between your data and AI.
Awesome. Thank you. Next one looks like Xavier. There's a question around whether the SR process works with the MIF, it sounds like. Yeah, I guess could you talk about like I guess the question is more like maybe where does the AI agent live and how to trigger that from, let's say, when somebody submits a new service request. So maybe it has to do with like, published channels and stuff like that. Can you talk about that for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. So where the AI right now lives, it lives on a agentic workflow, right? So this would live separately from inside of MxMobile, but you can trigger it based off of. So right now our workflow is on N8N. So essentially I'm able to, right now I have it running every 24/7, but I can change the frequency, right? So we're able to connect it via using API keys. So like that, it's able to grab the specific SR that it needs. It'll look at the data, and if it's missing, that's how it's able to make that call to the outbound user.
Yeah. And I would add to that, just based on the question about like the MIF specifically, is yes. So service request comes in, you'd have the MIF sort of an event listening published channel, take that, fire a web call over to that SR agent that's running on the server, and it would pick it up and start the process of making the phone call and so forth from there. So yes, it would obey all the sort of published channel rules from Maximo as far as whether to trigger that process. Okay, I think that's all the questions that I saw in the. Oh, there may be one more. Hold on.
A bonus question.
Yeah, so there's a question about end users who sometimes operate in base Maximo and then sometimes operate in MxMobile. Would those base users be able to be exposed to MxInsight? And the follow on there would maybe through like a external launching tab, or maybe something like operational dashboard card or something like that inside of Maximo.
Do you by chance understand the question there, Alex?
Yeah, I think so. And so the answer is, so I think the answer is quite possibly. But to wind it back a little bit, obviously MX Mobile can get deployed on iOS, Android. We have a desktop version that Bob did his demonstration from. So yes, desktop users could use MX Mobile as well. The question is, would MxInsight as a web application be able to be deployed somewhere? And I believe the answer is yes, and we just have to sort of strategize on where we deploy that, because you got cores issues and things like that. But if we could deploy that somewhere, then we can either launch to it from Maximo or embed it as a either like a operational dashboard card, or as was suggested in the question, maybe an iframe or something like that inside of Maximo itself.
Cool. We do have a proxy built into MX Mobile that we could, that's how we can avoid cores issues. I don't know if that would be applicable here, but
It would. We just need to figure out
perhaps,
a way
yeah.
to host it on appropriate
Gotcha.
platform there. And then there was another question in a similar vein. Is the tool available on regular desktop, app, Start Center, or only within mobile? So at the moment, it's only inside of the MX Mobile application, but would be able to be hosted as a web application, and like I was mentioning, either linked to or embedded within Maximo. We would just need to have a conversation about that, about where to host that. Okay. Now I think that's all the questions, unless there's others that are pouring in, but I think we've addressed most, if not all, of those questions. So again, really appreciate everybody's time today. Thank you for joining, and keep in touch. We'd love to, like I said, do either a private demo, have a conversation, and there will be quite more coming from the lab at A3J. So thanks, Bob. Thank you, Xavier. And thanks everybody for coming. Thank you guys, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.